Hi everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Tuesday today. You know, I say this every week. I don't know where the weeks go by, but here it is Tuesday already. And I'm back with another sketch challenge for you. So it's a very rainy day here on the West Coast. So hopefully it's not quite so rainy and, fall-like where you are. So we've probably used this sketch before. It's one of my favorite layouts. There's just something about it. There's just so many ways to use this sketch. So I'm going to switch over and we'll get started. All right, like I said, I think we've used this sketch before, but I come back to it. There's certain, hey Joey, welcome. There's certain kind of layouts that you come back to and you use on a regular basis. And I love using designer series paper kind of as the focal point of my card. So that's what this kind of orangey, it's probably called goldenrod, I think is the actual color, strip in the middle, and then a matte layer behind it. Although I'm going to do a little bit of a different technique for this matte layer, and I'll show you that. And then circle. Now I've said 2 3/8 inch circle, whatever you want. Doesn't have to be a circle even. It could be a die cut, for example. So your card base is 5.5 by 8.5. And then this layer that I'm going to use DSP on is 2 inches by 5.5, and then layer number 1, which is the blue matte layer behind it, is 2 1/4 by 5.5, and then whatever you want for your circle or die cut. I've said 2 3/8 inch circle punch. So let me show you what I'm going to use. So I used this last week. I pulled out the Color and Contour stamp set. I absolutely love this, so I'm going to use the stamp set, just the stamp set. And then here's my supplies. So I've got a piece of thick basic white cardstock. I pulled out, this is a piece of the Delightfully Eclectic designer series paper. It is eclectic. There's all sorts of different patterns and all sorts of colors in it. None of it necessarily goes together, but it's all great paper. Now, this I just got. This is there are 3 colors of glimmer paper. There's Pretty Peacock. My brain's gone. Tell me what that is. It's peachy color. I was going to say it's a color, but it's something that's retired. It might be Calypso Coral, but I don't actually know now. It doesn't really look Calypso Coral. Oh, I know what it is. It's Petal Pink. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's Petal Pink, although it's had a bit of an orange color to it, but Petal Pink. Thank you, Joey. Pretty Peacock, Petal Pink, and then Highland Heather. So pretty. I don't use a lot of glimmer paper, but I just got this. It's part of the new online exclusives that are coming out in November, so I thought I'd share it. But I love this. This one, the Pretty Peacock, would look absolutely stunning for a card for Christmas. Okay, so I've got I've got thick basic white. I always use thick basic white when I'm using it as a card base. So this is 5.5 by 8.5. And I'll score it at 4 1/4. And get my bone folder. Okay, so fold into the mountain or the raised line and give it a good burnish with your bone folder. Okay, so normally, like I said, this layer number 1 would have been a 1/4 inch wider than this strip. And I thought I was going to use black, but I decided to put the Highland Heather. And instead of, sometimes you don't want to, really I was going to cover up most of this. So instead of cutting a piece that was 2 1/4 by 5.5, I've cut 2 1/4 inch strips. So it's kind of a good technique to use to save paper. I often use it with, gold foil or distressed gold, but with this glimmer paper, you only have 2 sheets of it. So it's a great way. You just use a 1/4 inch strip. So I'm going to take and adhere this piece on. And if it's like mine, I think it's just a smidge too long. So you can take and trim it. So it's going to go in the middle, roughly, like that. Yeah, I think it's just overhanging just a smidge. So isn't that pretty? I just love that. And with black, it just pops. Okay, so I'm going to just take and use my paper snips to trim that little bit off. Okay, so if I had been smart, I would have put some adhesive sheets on the back of this, but I am just going to try and take just a little bit of liquid glue. There is gold and silver that are part of the current, I think, online exclusive. Yes, they're part of the DSP. There's 5 different designer series papers that are available as online exclusives. And the gold and silver are actually adhesive backed. I didn't try to take the backing off of this, but I don't think these ones are. I think these are just glimmer paper. So those are butted up against my designer series paper. Gives the same effect. It doesn't add as much bulk to your card. And then if you've got a little excess, you can, hey Mary, welcome. All the way from the Netherlands. I am so excited, Mary. I am coming to Rotterdam for the Stampin' Up! On stage event in March. So I'm really excited. Maybe I will see you there. Okay, so isn't that pretty? Now I went ahead. I have punched out a 2 3/8 inch circle from this glimmer paper. And then I punched out, this is from Basic Black, and it's the decorative circle punch. Hey, Mern. So it's just a touch smaller. So it's another one of those where I really am going to cover up most of it, but I just thought you would get just a peekaboo of that. Now, one trick when you are adhering glimmer paper, I find it doesn't stick very well. So I tend to use tear and tape adhesive because it just doesn't adhere all that well. So I really want it to be, I want it to be stuck down to this. I want these 2 pieces to be stuck together. So I'm going to use tear and tape, and hopefully it will stick. There. Okay. Now, I'm going to do, before I do anything more, I'm going to do some stamping. I pulled out the daisy, and so I'm going to stamp, oops, looking for things. Does glue work? I don't find that the liquid glue works all that well. I find yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but anything to glimmer paper, I find just doesn't work all that well. Mary said, does that include you? If you are a demonstrator, you can attend the Stampin' Up! On stage events. So yes, it definitely would include you. So there is one this year. They're doing it a little different. They're switching it up a little bit. So there's one in Rotterdam. There's one in Houston, Texas, and there is one in Melbourne, Australia. All right, so I stamped that in Highland Heather. There is a die, but I didn't grab it. So you guys know me. I'm going to fussy cut. Actually, before I fussy cut that, because I'm going to end up fussy cutting my sentiment too. And instead of Highland Heather, I think I'm going to use Fresh Freesia, which is what that designer series paper is. And let's just see what this looks like. Oh, I think so. Okay, so I'm just going to take that. Okay, and then we'll fussy cut that out at the same time. If you don't want to fussy cut, you can use the die for the flower, and you can just use a punch or a label die for your sentiment. All right. just kind of following along. I'm not really fussed about, whether I'm wider or narrow or in spots. I'm steering with the hand that's holding the paper. There we go. And I'm just going to fussy cut my flower. Now this flower isn't intended, the stamp that it's two-step stamping, and the second stamp that puts color into the petals, it isn't supposed to be perfectly aligned. So I'm just going to kind of cut around it. Sometimes this is, I don't know, sometimes it's just easier than to go and find my dies, and maybe that just is an indication that my dies aren't very well organized. That I find it easier to cut out my images, maybe. Okay, so let's start. So I've got that. I also pulled this is the black and white check. It is not it's the one that has been in the catalog for a little while. It's a narrower one, and it is white. It's not the one that's in the mini catalog. That is a little wider and very vanilla. So I'm just going to kind of zigzag this back and forth like that. There we go. I'll trim that in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to put that on with dimensionals. So if you didn't want to use DSP for that strip across the middle, you could make your own DSP. You could have used a piece of embossed cardstock. All sorts of things that you could do with this. So I'm just going to put that like that. And then a couple of dimensionals for my flower. All right, I'm going to put that off to the side like that, and then that. Okay, I think I got it. And just like that, down a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to take, if I can find it. Yep. So I've got some Wink of Stella here. I'm just going to kind of add some Wink of Stella to my flower. You probably won't be able to see that, but the person who gets this card will be able to, and it just adds a little bit of shimmer to the card. I don't know if you can see. Can you see shimmer? Not really. Anyway, okay, so what else do we need to add to this card? Trim this a little bit. Okay, I pulled out, these are the Tinsel Gems 3-pack. These darn dimensional backs. They come in Lost Lagoon, Fresh Freesia, and it's either Night of Navy or Blueberry Bushel. It's hard to tell. And I'm just going to add some of the Fresh Freesia ones to the front of my card. They have 2 sizes. There we go. And that there. And I probably should stamp something on the inside of my card, because so we'll stamp the flower again. Not all of it, just part of it. And we'll stamp, this time we'll stamp it in Fresh Freesia. And now you have to rotate. This is 2-step stamping, and it kind of does line up, sort of. So you just kind of have to keep moving it around until you get it so it looks like it's more or less lined up. I think that's pretty good. There we go. Hey Pam, welcome. All right, so there is my card. Stayed pretty true to the the sketch, but just the little trick with, reducing some of the bulk by not using a full piece of the glimmer paper. Um, just 1/4 inch strips makes it look like you've got that extra layer behind, but you really don't. All right, so there we go. There is my sketch for today. I'll be back tomorrow. It's a technique, so come join me at 2 o'clock Pacific tomorrow and see what the technique that I'll share is. Otherwise, hope you have a great day. Maybe spend some time in your craft room or just enjoy some time. All right, bye everybody. Thanks for joining me. Happy stamping. Bye.